Welcome to The Explainer. I am so excited you're tuning in for this one. Today, we're literally stepping right into the mindset of an expert dog trainer. Our ultimate goal? We want to prevent accidents long before they ever happen, just by learning how to decode the silent, everyday body language of dogs. Honestly, it's basically a superpower once you get the hang of it. So let's just jump right in. Now, have you ever had that moment or maybe heard somebody say that a seemingly friendly dog suddenly growled, lunged, or even bit completely out of nowhere? Well, I'm here to completely shatter that dangerous myth for you right now. It is never, ever random. In reality, a dog actually gives up to 5 clear warning signs in just the final 30 seconds before an incident. The crazy part? We just completely miss them. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First up, no sudden attacks. Then we'll look at the truth about tail wagging, followed by reading through ears, reducing threat from gaze, hidden stress signs, and finally, becoming the protector. All right, section 1, no sudden attacks, the myth of the unpredictable bite. The foundation of everything we're looking at today is this. Dogs are constantly, and I mean literally constantly, communicating their boundaries to us. We're just failing to listen. And that brings us to a really crucial number, 30 seconds. You see, the 30 seconds right before an incident happens is this highly critical window. It is absolutely packed with vital physiological warnings. If you can spot them in that time frame, you can stop almost any accident right in its tracks. Moving right along to section 2, the truth about tail wagging, busting the biggest canine myth. We are going straight for the absolute ultimate misconception here. I mean, almost everybody assumes a wagging tail just automatically means a fappy dog, right? Well, actually, scratch that. It's the tail height that fundamentally dictates a dog's emotional state. A raised or curled tail, that means they're feeling dominant or assertive. Lowered and pointing outward is just your standard, neutral, relaxed state. But a tucked tail, that means intense fear. Listen, approaching a dog with a tucked tail puts you in a super high-risk fight or flight situation. They might bite simply because they feel incredibly threatened. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference. The wag itself is really just an indicator of arousal, not necessarily joy. A genuinely happy, friendly wag is held horizontal to the ground. It's usually accompanied by that loose, rhythmic butt wiggle we all love. But compare that to an aroused wag. That one is held high and very stiff. That high wag means the dog is highly aroused and feeling dominant. Trust me, that is a highly volatile state, not a friendly one at all. All right, section 3, reading through ears, the essential secondary context. So while the tail is obviously a massive communicator, a dog's ears provide that absolutely essential secondary context you need to figure out what's really going on. And the crazy thing is, despite the huge variety of ear shapes across different breeds, the actual mechanics remain surprisingly consistent. Ears held forward? That means dominant or alert, so you definitely need to proceed with caution. Neutral ears just mean a nice, soft, relaxed dog. But if those ears are pinned all the way back, that indicates a clear negative shift. The dog is nervous, submissive, or extremely fearful. But here's the absolute trickiest part for most owners: rapid fluctuation. A dog can shift from a curious, ears forward look to a highly fearful, ears back posture in a literal split second. It just depends on whatever environmental triggers are happening around them right then. This is exactly why constant observation is required. You really have to watch these split-second micro-scenarios unfold so you can step in and intercept that rising stress way before it ever turns into a real conflict. Section 4, reducing threat from gaze, the danger of human eye contact. In the human world, making eye contact is usually a sign of respect, right? But in the canine world, it's a completely different story. It is a high-stakes social tool. If an unfamiliar dog is just staring at you nonstop, they're actually asserting dominance. And if you lock eyes and return that stare, well, you're actively participating in a dominant standoff. The dog literally interprets your gaze as a direct challenge. Believe it or not, this is exactly how well-meaning people accidentally provoke a reactive or aggressive response from a dog. So the crucial point here is knowing exactly how to safely diffuse this tension. Here is your actionable, step-by-step behavioral antidote. Step 1, just simply look away. This instantly takes the pressure off. Step 2, slightly turn your head to show your side profile. This clearly communicates that you aren't seeking any conflict. And finally, step 3, blink. It sounds simple, but blinking is actually a submissive gesture in dog language. It basically tells them, hey, we're good to go, there's absolutely no threat here.
Moving to section 5, hidden stress signs, decoding facial microexpressions.
Okay, so we've talked about the big, obvious displays like tails and ears, but now we really need to look a bit closer at the face. Dogs use these incredibly subtle microexpressions to show deep internal anxiety long before they ever actually growl. For example, let's say a dog hasn't just finished a tasty meal, but they're doing this repetitive lip licking. That is actually a definitive sign of internal conflict. It's essentially a final warning shot that they feel threatened. Also, keep an eye out for unexplained heavy panting, especially in a cool environment. That's a huge red flag for severe anxiety.
And this actually leads us to a really fascinating concept called displacement behavior. A classic everyday example is a dog yawning when they very clearly aren't tired. When a dog yawns in the middle of a high-pressure social situation, it has absolutely nothing to do with sleepiness. It's basically an out-of-context action that they use to cope with overwhelming pressure or anxiety. Guys, it is literally a silent cry for help. They're telling you, loud and clear, that they are completely overwhelmed.
Which brings us to our final section, section 6, becoming the protector, empowering yourself through observation.
Now that we've got all these anatomical clues decoded, it's time for us to shift our mindset. We need to go from being just passive observers to becoming active, empowered advocates for our dog's safety. And to do this, we really must avoid 3 major big-picture pitfalls that so often lead to bites. Number 1, assuming every single wagging tail belongs to a happy dog. Number 2, just ignoring those early stress signals, like the lip licking or a sudden stiff posture. And number 3, and this is perhaps the absolute most critical mistake of all, forcing interactions when a dog's body language is clearly screaming no. Listen, you have to be the one to step in. You have to remove a dog from an overwhelming situation long before they have a complete behavioral breakdown. And that brings us perfectly to this incredibly powerful golden rule. If a dog says no with their body, respect the no. I really want to leave you with that provocative thought today. Take a moment to reflect on your own past interactions. Have you truly been listening to what dogs are silently telling you? Because by honoring those unspoken boundaries, you aren't just preventing accidents. You're actively ensuring a much happier, bite-free life for absolutely everyone involved. Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me.